I've been making a game for about 2 months now. I want to give you guys an update on where I've been for the past 2 months and the systems I've been creating. Get those inspiration destroyers out of the way. We've all been there. A flash of inspiration. We rush out to try to implement it, and with every second, that inspiration drains. We get stuck in menus, we get stuck with bugs and errors, or just having to repeat a million small steps just to get that one part that we were looking forward to creating. If I had some type of video editor, I'd have had them show some kind of motivation meter right here. And that meter would slowly be draining while I'm stuck dealing with bugs instead of implementing my quest. But I don't have that kind of time. I gotta get back to making my game. Today we're gonna talk about the progress I've made over the past 2 months. We're gonna talk about how I created systems that makes building a game more efficient for me. Why it's better to wait for refactoring and let patterns naturally emerge instead of going straight in and constantly rewriting things. But before we get to the systems, let me give you a quick update on exactly where we are with the game. My goal for this game and its demo is to get the prologue prototyped as quickly as possible. I want those playtesters in here as fast as I can get them. I don't want to put a ton of work into polishing this game only to find out that people don't even think it's fun, like they don't even like the story. So to that end, I'm almost done. I've created all the locations that take place in the prologue. I've created all the characters that'll be around at that point in the game. I've created all the systems like being able to pick up an item and deposit it somewhere, being able to inspect items that trigger quests, being able to have full branching conversations that change depending on the context of the story. The game now has full day and night cycles that change over the course of the day or depending on the quest. I even have music created for the game at this point, and I love it. A lot of the characters that I've commissioned for this game are finally coming back to me, and I'm able to start replacing some of those temporary assets with the official artwork. In general, I'm just having a blast and loving every second of this process. I feel like I'm doing something I was made to do. After all these years of picking up all these skills like art, music, writing, it feels like they're all coming together for me to be able to do something like this. So that's the broad overview of where I am. Let's talk about some of the problems I've run into along the way and some of the systems I've built to keep the engine out of my way while I try and build the game. The biggest time saver by far has been extending the dialogue system asset that I purchased a while back. Don't get me wrong, this asset is amazing, and I wouldn't even be where I am right now if it wasn't for this thing basically controlling the guts of my game. But I'm sure anyone who's had to work with the dialogue system will tell you that building dialogue is hard, especially when working with branching dialogue choices. So I started extending the system to make it incredibly easy to work with. For example, here I built a dialogue simulator with a graph so that it's easy for me to see the branching choices that you can make and what you need to do to get those conditions met. It's probably hard to see from where it is right now, but systems like this enable me to be able to get the dialogue right without actually having to run through the game and play it. For example, usually when I need to figure out if this conversation goes the right way, I have to start the game, play the game, go through the dialogue, but this way I don't even have to play the game to be able to see that I'm going down the right path just by changing the variables and things like that. And then there's other systems I've made, like grabbable item. I created this system, obviously, to be able to grab items. I was using something called the Press E Manager before to manage my interactions, and that had things like this interactable script that would allow you to perform actions, but that was before I really knew anything about game development. And don't get me wrong, this thing is so versatile and so useful, but the more that I learned about game development, the more that I started to see just what I could do when I came up with solutions that were specifically for me and not just a generalized asset that you could purchase. I needed something that would connect to my dialogue system so that when I performed actions, I could trigger things to happen like quests or add something to my inventory, and that system just wasn't suitable for what I wanted it for. So I started trying to come up with custom solutions, and that's when I created my first two components, grabbable item and its partner, deposit zone, which will show you a preview of the item that is supposed to be deposited there. With grabbable item, you can specify conditions that you want to happen before an item is able to be picked up, and you can also add actions to it that you want to happen either when the item is picked up or when the item is put down. Things like being able to run Lua code, being able to activate items or start conversations, or even execute any Unity event that you want. With deposit zone, like I said before, you'll be able to set the items that are accepted in this deposit zone. You'll be able to say whether the user can pick it back up or not, because that might change depending on what the item is. You'll be able to set conditions that'll be able to happen if you want them to be able to deposit something there yet, and also the code that executes when you place that item down. After that, I went on to create an inspection system. I bought one from the asset store, but that thing was trash and I couldn't get it to work. There's still some jank to the system, but I'll refine all that later once it starts to suit all the things that I need to do. For now, when you inspect an item, it will rotate up and flow towards the camera. There's basic functionality like being able to rotate the object or zoom in or zoom out. I created an accompanying component called writing projectable so that if I wanted, I could project text onto these items, so I could make it say it worked or something like that, and you'd be able to actually inspect the item and see that text on there. It's completely configurable, so I can change the font size and whatever. And yeah, that's it for that. For accessibility, you'll be able to press read details and it'll show you that text in a much easier to read way. I've even created this component down in the bottom that'll show the buttons that you're able to use when you interact with an item. This is when patterns started to emerge, and these are things you can only discover by actually seeing them repeat a few times instead of trying to plan them up front. That's why even though there's jank on some of these components, I don't waste time refactoring in the beginning, because I want these patterns to emerge so that I can finesse them in systems that work together instead of constantly tinkering and not getting anywhere with creating my game. For example, with grabbable item, I wanted a little orb that floated above the object to indicate that you could interact with this object and grab it. Then I decided that sometimes when you get close to the orb, I want a label to reveal just to kind of signify the action you can perform or what the item even is. I didn't know at the time that this was a pattern just yet because I'd only used it once. But as soon as I made inspectable item, I realized that I wanted that functionality there too as well for the label and the orb. And so I did what you shouldn't do. I copied and pasted some code. And like always tends to happen, the issues only became apparent when I tried to make changes to the code that I copied and pasted. So for example, let's say I wanted to make the orb orange now. Well, they'd be orange for the grabbable items, but they'd still be white for the inspectable items, and this is why you don't copy and paste code, people. So I created a way for multiple components to be able to use this, and so I made these visual settings, and when you click the visual settings, you'll see that in this scriptable object, basically we have the orb, we can set the orb color, things like that, and I can even make multiple versions of this if I want to test out different options or just have a different object always use a different visual style. I extended the grabbable item into something called the stackable deposit zone because sometimes I'm going to want you to be able to stack items on top of a thing. Like for example, right here, I'm helping Jasper clean up this bar. So I want to be able to pick up this tray and then have that tray actually pick up items. And while I'm picking them up, the variables are changing, which is responsible for me being able to actually deposit this item. Things like, now that I have the requirements to actually put this down, you'll see the ghost preview of where I need to set it, and I can set it down. And so like, these systems are slowly building into something that I can keep track of and keep making changes to easily and just overall expand the functionality. I'm setting it up this way just so that these things will share the same design language, because the last thing I want is to have to change my mind about how I want things to look. Then I have to update 70 different spots and hope that I didn't miss one. And there's my usual disclaimer of all this stuff is in flux right now. There's no design on any of this. This is basically just trying my best to get the functionality implemented so that when I do get ready to design, it's easy to update it everywhere and not something that I have to really track down to make sure I didn't miss anything. I have a bug right now, but I'm real like that, so I'll show it anyway. One of my big inspirations and my favorite Zelda is Majora's Mask, so it's not just about changing the time of day with the time system, but when I change it to a different time of day, like evening, they are in a different spot, doing different things, so she should be facing me. That's the bug right now, but she's not. But with the location manager, it's able to change the animation, change the location, change it back to morning, and she'll be over here, so instead of sitting, she's actually just reading again at the table right now. It'll be morning at some point, but you get what I'm saying. That location manager is responsible for things like that and is tied up into our time system. The location manager isn't super robust, but you are able to basically give it a character, say what time of day it is, the direction that you want them to be sitting, and the animation that you want to happen during that time of day. For example, sitting right here, but over here we just want her breathing idly like NPCs do. And like I said, for right now, they just instantly appear in a different location, but in the future, I'll have it written to where they're actually navigating during this time change to their new position instead of just magically appearing. If Majora's Mask could do it back in whatever time that came out, I'm sure I can manage to figure out how to do that. The time system also manages other things, like being able to turn on lights off and on at different times of day. For example, right now, they're not on, but once you get towards evening, those lights will definitely turn on. And especially at night, they'll be very noticeable compared to what they are right now. In fact, let's just go tonight just to show how it looks once the hotel gets darker and you're able to see these lights shine in all their glory. It also manages things like the playlist for the music for the time of day. This game is really going to be heavy on vibes, so it's kind of important for me for each set of music to set the vibe for that time of day. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the time management system. I feel like the theme of this particular devlog today is just anything that I can come up with to save myself time. For example, I created a debug menu so that instead of having to do things, the right way, I can just change things, trigger different variables or quest states to happen so that you're developing this game and repeating this process over and over. And the more safeguards you put in place to make the game less janky, the more that you have to get through to actually get to the state that you want to be in. So just easy ways like a developer menu. For example, right now, I can't access the second floor. You can't do that until later. So just having an easy way to be able to turn on, oh, now I can't access the second floor is just super helpful. There's one more that I want to show off that has just been really helpful to me. It's so silly, but instead of, like my player location starts off at this elevator when the scene begins. But if I want to do something in the kitchen, I have to walk all the way over there. So instead of doing that, what I can do is highlight a game object and press Shift and comma. Oh, let me make sure I'm selected. Press Shift and comma, and the player will instantly jump to that location so that I don't have to run all the way there. Because like I said, some of these places are actually very far from where I spawn in at. So just little things like that make it easier to develop this game. There's also this piece of the animation system that I've developed that kind of cracks me up because I'm so used to the characters being static and in a T-pose. But now with this new component, as soon as I near a character, they'll just start looking at me, which is just, like I said, it's gonna take some getting used to because I'm so used to them not. But then there's a radius that you can step into where they ignore you, but when you get close enough, they'll look. And it's just still, since it's so new, just freaks me out sometimes when I walk up and their head just pops to look at me like that. I don't want to make this video too long because when I do write scripts that are too long, I end up taking forever to make the video because I just don't look forward to this part. It's so much work to create these videos. So now that we've gotten through the systems, I just want to touch on a few more things. I've created menu systems at this point now. So I'm able to press the system menu and I'm able to see these settings for saving the game, loading game, options, title, all these things work. I'm able to go to options now and and L1, R1, or whatever your buttons are to be able to change options and things like that, like actually change the graphic settings, just super basic stuff because I don't know how to hook up a lot of stuff yet. So this is just the kind of stuff that I can, being able to change the music volume independently of how loud the characters voice their, voice dialogue and things like that. All that stuff has just been, I wouldn't say difficult to implement, but like it's definitely a different part of my brain as far as just like actually developing the game. Another piece is that I want to actually have settings for people that don't like help. So like right now, if you look, I have them off, but right now, usually when the game starts, you'll have these dialogue indicators that show if the character still has dialogue that you haven't seen yet. So let's just talk. And now you've seen all the dialogue that this character has to say. So that's no longer there. I know that some people don't like hints of any kind. I always see this complaint. So just being able to turn off that kind of system and make it so like you don't get any hints, that was kind of super important for me to kind of throw in there and implement. There's also the other menu for things like quests, your journals, your characters. I don't have any entries in there right now, but let's talk to the boy Tiberius and just skip through everything that he has to say right now. I forgot to take off that little waving animation. That was me testing out a feature. But once you get a quest, you'll be able to actually go in, see what the quest is. You'll be able to, go through the journal. And if you have any information on that character as of yet, it'll pop up here. So this is just, there's so much to create in a game, so many elements to implement. But like I said, I'm getting somewhere. I'm having a lot of fun doing it and it's happening. And like I said before, all this stuff is extended and connected to the dialogue system. So I can go to Tiberius and go to his dialogue, and this is where I accidentally left that play animation on. But if you go to script, you go to custom, you'll be able to see all the different types of actions that I've implemented. Let me pull this list out a little bit more. But right here, I have play animation and I have it set up that I can select all the different characters and have the animation that I want to play, and if I want that animation to loop or just instantly go back to their like default looping animation. There's just so many systems right now. For example, with the time, I can change the time of day, I can add journal entries or unlock, different character relationships from here. I can change the music. Everything is just interwoven in a way that makes it easy so that I don't have to think when I go to create this game anymore. It took a long time to get here, and it's going to be a lot more that I have to implement to really get this system finesse to the way that I want. For, just one more quick example, with the play animation, I have this idle, angry, thing set up, but the system wasn't always set up that way. So like with our characters, you'll see the I guess I'm starting to clean this up, but some characters just don't have animations that actually fit that mold. So now that I've kind of created these systems, I need to go in and make sure everything is named correctly. Otherwise the animation is going to be broken, things like that. But having these guardrails in place makes it infinitely more easy to just, when I have an idea, jump in this bad boy and get to playing. And that's just the goal. I'm not here to tinker with systems. I'm here to make a game. So that's pretty much where I am after making a game for 2 months. For some people, this is going to look like a lot of progress. And for some people, they're going to look at that and say, that's all you've been doing for 2 months. But the thing is there's so much more than what I just showed you. It's just making these videos take a long time, and I know that not everything that I do is interesting, so I try to pick the best bits. And the most unfortunate part about a game like this, which is, kind of like Life is Strange, is that I can't show you the things that take the most time, like the story, the cutscenes, the animation, the dialogue. I can't show that because it'll spoil the actual game for people when they finally play it. So having to show everything that is the not most important part of your game, that's just weird. And I haven't figured out the process of how to get across just how much work I'm doing without showing the number one thing that I'm working on, which is the quest, the dialogue, the animations, the cutscenes, all the emotional story beats, all that is stuff that I just can't show off, and it makes making content for this game so hard. So that's kind of where I've been at for the past 2 months. If you've enjoyed this journey, please like and subscribe. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. It kind of sucks sometimes, you put in all this time to make a video and you get like 12 views, but I just want to throw out there that like when I get comments on these videos, I've had a few people that watch these videos all the way through and they comment and leave feedback, and that stuff makes my day every single time. So if you made it this far, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's involved and is enjoying this journey, because I'm having fun and I hope that you guys are too. So stay fresh.